There was a refrain around the Elsten household a little bit earlier this weekend because we had a hissy toilet. Toilet was throwing a hissy fit. It was hissing and not filling up at the right rate, and the bowl level not quite where you want it to be. And as this was happening, we're jiggling the handle and we're doing that. You know what my wife said to me? Better call Wally. This keeps going another day. Going to need you to call that guy Wally. Get out here and get things done, because Padres Hot Tub is proudly presented by Estate Leak Detection and Plumbing and our man Wally. 619-300-7203. Chris, when you got a hissy fit toilet, why do you need to call Wally?
You got to call Wally because he's dependable and honest. And that's basically what it boils down to. And those two traits are going to save you money, and they're going to save you a lot of hassle. Wally does not advertise like traditionally for his plumbing service. And by traditionally, I mean on Yelp. Because if you have a problem and you go to Yelp to try to find a plumber, you're not going to find the best plumber. You're going to find the plumber that paid Yelp the most money. And that's how their algo works. But if you do happen to go to Wally's Yelp page, you're going to find 16 5-star reviews. He has never had a bad review from people that he did not solicit their opinions from or pay them to give their opinions of. I just want to read the first review I see because it's friggin' perfect. Responsible, personable, and professional. Was able to problem solve quickly and take care of the issue right away. I highly recommend this company. You said it great, Joan. I appreciate it.
619-300-7203. We've said it before. We'll say it again. Take down the number. Save it in your phone. Save it as a contact. Put Wally-Plumber or Estate Leak Detection and Plumbing. He'd probably prefer that. And then when your toilet throws a hissy fit, you don't have to freak out. You don't have to call a stranger and get a $12,000 quote. Call Wally. He'll come over. He'll let you know what you need to do. He'll charge you what it costs. And I think that's what we're all looking for. So don't throw a hissy fit. Just call Wally. 619-300-7203. Padres Hot Tub, everybody. Craig Elsten, Chris Reed, Raphie Cantor. We are back with you. It is Monday, September 18th, 2023. Are you saying Peter Seidler should sell?
No. I'm saying John Fisher should sell the Oakland Athletics. No, dear God, Peter Seidler, please do not sell. Please.
Are you saying Manny Machado should squirt?
Yes. 100%. Glad message received.
Okay, at least I was on vibe with one of you cats. We've got plenty to talk about today, and not all of it is great, but the beginning of it is going to be great. We're about to visit Positivity Corner. I'm expecting nothing but positivity from you two coming forward. But first, some brief housekeeping. Padres Hot Tub is a YouTube channel as well. All of our shows are videos that go out on our YouTube channel at Padres Hot Tub. We had a contest last week where we asked people to comment on last week's show, and the winner will get a Juan Soto bobblehead. Stay tuned on the mid-roll. Patrons won't hear it. Stay tuned on the mid-roll. We will announce our Juan Soto bobblehead winner. If you are a patron, maybe consider listening to the free feed this week to find out if you won. Just saying, maybe consider that. Group therapy went live on YouTube the last 2 weeks. We've had some great response to it. We're going to do it again this Thursday. So mark it down, make an appointment. Thursday at 12 o'clock, we're going to do our next group therapy. We will do it live on our YouTube channel. Now, the way that works is all of our patrons have an exclusive opportunity to dial in via the actual platform where we record and check in and have their selves shown on video and audio. That's the only way to get on the show, is still to be a patron. So that's happening Thursday. We did it the last 2 weeks on Friday. Thursday, 12 o'clock on the off day, group therapy. Make a note, put it in your calendar. Join us in the lunch hour live Thursday at 12. Last week, we sent to all of our patrons, our wonderful patrons who we love so much that support Padres Hot Tub, and we sent them a survey asking them to give us their feedback on what they value about being a patron, what among the various things that we offer for being a patron is most valuable to them, and also to give an opportunity to offer generic criticism, feedback, etc. We got some incredible stuff. We've had still, though, about 1/7 of our patrons check in overall. I'd love to get that up a lot closer to at least 50%. So please check it out on our Discord. Raphie is sending out an email to all of our patrons as well. We're going to keep the survey open probably to the end of the season. But Raphie and Chris and I are looking at this. We got some really, really great feedback that we are 100% going to incorporate into what we do in 2024 and going forward. So if you haven't had the chance yet, or if you saw it and you forgot, we're going to keep it open. Please do help us out. Fill out the survey. It won't take you more than, honestly, 2 minutes. And that's if, like, you do 2 long written responses. It'll take you 2 minutes. Otherwise, it'll probably take you 45 seconds or a minute. And send that out to us. And Chris, Raphie, and I, we already had a meeting last week. We talked about it. We're going to do that again. So please fill out the survey. We'd love to hear from you. Last thing, and this is reflective of the first meeting we had based on our survey information. We're going to do an experiment at the end of the season. So October 1st is
October
the
2nd.
End of the season?
Or October 1st is the end of the season. October 2nd is the Monday after.
Yes. October 1st is the final Sunday of the MLB regular season. So Monday, October 2nd, we're going to do the main show, this show. We're going to do Padres Hot Tub proper live on YouTube. Stay tuned. Further details to be released as we get closer in terms of exactly what time we'll do it. It'll probably be in the evening because we usually record in the evening. But Monday, October 2nd, a live Padres Hot Tub main show on YouTube to wrap up the 2023 season and get us ready for the wild card, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, gonna be watching the Reds.
What? Play the Padres?
The Cubs.
No. The Padres are going to make the playoffs because they're going to
Win
every
out.
game.
They're going to win out.
They're going to win every game.
And then
And every other team is going to finish at least 2 games under 500.
Gotcha.
It's going to happen.
I am going to be going to Vandenberg Spaceport Base tonight, and I will be getting on a rocket and blasting my ass to Mars and starting the first human colony on Mars, and we will play baseball there. I'll be in the wild card playoffs on Mars.
Quick question. Do you have Wi-Fi on the flight to Mars? Because October 2nd, I think you just heard we have a live Padres Hot Tub on YouTube.
I'm going to
You
hope
need to
that
be there.
Elon has worked his Starlink system
it's
into
Elon?
his rockets.
You're fucking dead, bro.
It's going to be, I think it's 20 minutes for a radio signal to get from here to Mars. So it's going to be like those news reports from Afghanistan where there was like a 5-second delay, but it's just going to be 20 minutes.
20-minute delay.
Craig and I are waiting for a response. Just playing Stratomatic.
You are
or something.
knee deep in analytics. Chris just fires off this random ass joke. The first thing we said.
It'll be like 30 seconds long too. Just the tiniest little thing, and then 20 minutes longer.
So, short of Chris's trip to Mars, please mark down Thursday at 12 and Monday, October 2nd for live Padres Hot Tub on
By the way,
YouTube.
If we really are in the wild card round on October 2nd, we will be live streaming from a hot tub. Like I'm making that right now.
Sure.
If we are in the playoffs, we will be live streaming from a hot tub.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Things will be changing dramatically over the next 2 weeks. It's going to be a metamorphosis, the likes of which you haven't seen since the alien burst out of Alan Hurt's, what's his name, the chest in
William
1980.
John
William
Hurt.
Hurt. Thank you, John Hurt.
William
William
Tell.
Hurt? John
Penn and Teller.
That has been housekeeping. Thank you for staying tuned through housekeeping. As we have done the last 3 shows, we do it again. We promised we'd do it till this season was over. I get in this aggressive tone because we welcome you to Positivity Corner.
Well, that wasn't so bad.
Ooh. Welcome, everybody. It's Positivity Corner, where you better say something nice about the San Diego Padres 2023 only. Don't go off telling me about Kevin Brown's good season or why Reggie Sanders went 26-36 or some other bullshit. It's got to be about right now, okay? Oh, you remember when Julius Matos hit a double? No, fuck that. About this team right now. Guys, this should be easy. The club is on the longest winning streak, I believe, in franchise history. I got to check my notes on that. So, Chris, what's something positive?
I got something positive, and I might have borrowed it a little bit from AJ Cassavell, but it was something I was thinking about. And that what we've done the past couple times here is kind of highlighted a somebody we wouldn't expect to be doing well, like Garrett Cooper or Luis Campusano. I want to highlight Fernando Tatis Jr. and not necessarily his exceptional play, although he's been fine. He has played. His exceptional play. He has played 130 games this year. This was my biggest question mark coming into the season. Is Dew going to be able to play baseball that long? He has. He's been on the field. He's put in, has to be an incredible amount of work to take 2 years off and then play 130 baseball games when you've never done that in your life. And I just want to give a huge hat tip to Fernando Tatis Jr. That bodes incredibly well for next year. Having that guy healthy, having him tuned up, having him knowing his body and playing a familiar position at the start of the year. I think it's a big deal going into 2024. We still look to have an elite outfield, fingers crossed. We'll talk about money in a little bit. But for now, Fernando Tatis Jr. showed up this year. He put in a ton of work. It has shown. And he's got that number under the G on the back of his baseball card to prove it.
You're the number one Tatis critic on this podcast. So when you bring Tatis into Positivity Corner, I'm extremely excited. And I believe, Raphie, that Tatis is going to set his personal high for games played this week.
Tonight.
Okay, tonight. Even though he missed 20 games due to suspension at the beginning of the year. So your best ability is your availability. Trent Dilfer famously said, the guru and shaman of all things, and just all things, Trent Dilfer. And as such, Chris, you have an appropriate level of concern on your face there for that erroneous statement. But I still like the phrase, your best ability is your availability. And Fernando Tatis Jr. being available for this club is huge. Now, Raphie, you better say something fucking nice about the Padres right now.
I have 2 things. I have 2 nice things. This is now going to be, by the way, for people who aren't watching on YouTube, you should go and back up 10 seconds because that image of you right up in the camera is going to be my new picture on my phone of you. So that whenever you call, it's just you smushed up against the camera. Okay, so the obvious one today would be to do Juan Soto because he just hit his first career Grand Slam and he's looking and he got.
Raphie, I've got a video edited that will drop right after we're done talking, so you don't need to do that.
Exactly. And I wasn't going to. I was going to do a little switcheroo. I'm in a zig where everyone else is zagging, or I should say I'm zagging where everyone else is zigging. Xander Bogaerts is quietly fucking amazing in September. And I know it's annoying because like the team's out of it and it's like where everyone's like, oh, just when it doesn't matter, like he's not good. Like, but like, it's not just like, oh, he's good. He has in the month of September, this is 60 plate appearances. So it's a small sample, but it's not a minuscule sample. A 232 WRC plus. He's hitting 436, 483, 727 with 3 home runs in the month of September so far. He's put up 1.3 FWAR just in September alone. And also, by the way, overall point, the big 4 this month in September, I said Xander has a 232 WRC plus. Soto has a 194. Tatis has a 134, and Manny has a 132. And lo and behold, the Padres are 10-5 in the month of September. What do we know? When all of these guys are hitting, the Padres are winning games. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter at this point. And I promise this is positive. Like, those guys are all raking. But I did want to recognize Xander Bogaerts. And, he's at 3.7 F4 on the year. If he plays anywhere close to like this for the rest of the month, he'll eclipse 4 wins, which another one of those things you can add to the laundry list of, if you told me at the beginning of the season that Xander Bogaerts put on 4 wins, blah, 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 blah. So there's that. And then the last thing I want to shout out is, I'll talk about going to the game in Oakland a little bit later. I already did a lot of that on Banter, so go listen to that. Become a patron if you want to hear more of it. But I just want to shout out Padres fans. Like, people really showed up at the Coliseum in games that do not matter, seeing 2 teams play that will not be playing in the postseason. And it was like an incredibly enjoyable experience to be amongst, other people who, traveled or are local to the Bay Area, but to go on and see their team. And just, it's amazing what this season has become, even if it's not what we all wanted it to be. So shout out to everyone for continuing to support the team.
That is awesome. Xander Bogaerts is pissing me off so bad right now. Like, hey, I'll hit in April and September. And the rest of the time, it's going to be a complete abject disaster. Nonetheless, it'll be fine. Last week, I shouted out Luis Camposano in Positivity Corner. Luis Camposano continues to be terrific, and I'd just like to note, in comparison to Xander Bogaerts, that he's got, I believe, more than half of Bogaerts' RBI in a quarter of the time. Math might be a little fuzzy there, might be closer to a third of the time than a quarter of the time, but he's got over 25 ribs in like 40-ish games, where Bogaerts needed all of this season, 150 games, to get to 50 RBI, batting behind 3 of the best on-base percentage players in the league. So, cool. But that's not it.
Dude, you had me at 25 ribs. I am ready.
Yeah. I think that's what God gave man. 25. No. 25 ribs.
I pictured like 25 baby back ribs.
Baby back.
Just holding onto a tray. I got 25 ribs. I'm really can't.
Shout out to the pitcher who sucked the hardest for this club in the bullpen at so many points this year. Luis Garcia is on something like a 14-inning scoreless streak now. His ERA is down to 3.83, which is below his career number. His whip is down to 1.278, which is below his career number. He's pitched 56 innings for the Padres this year, which is a pretty friggin' decent amount. He's actually been really good against right-handers, holding them to a 198 average for the entire season. And in August, he had a 1.35 ERA, and in September, he has a 0 ERA. In his last 19 2/3 innings, he's allowed 15 hits, 2 runs earned. He's walked 4, and he's struck out 12. So it's definitely meaningless. It's been coming in the lowest of possible leverage situations over the last few weeks, but Luis Garcia has been really, really good. And this will be the end of his Padres career. He won't be back in 2024, but he is ending on a super strong note. Shout out Luis Garcia. Great job, mate. Way to finish strong.
You just got me mad because I'll bet you like exactly when our hope was gone was like the last time Luis Garcia got bombed.
Oh, that's
like,
exactly when Xander Bogaerts got his first 4-hit game too. like the day after he had 3 errors to destroy the team for all time, he was like, well, my grandma always said that when I make 3 errors, I'm going to hit great for 8 weeks. And then he's proceeded to just hit amazing, which brings me back to my number one central thesis for 2024, which is have Xander Bogaerts commit 3 errors in the final game of spring training.
Just have him go on with the wrong, like the glove for his left hand, or for his right hand, I should say. You have to play left-handed your first 5 games of the season.
Every time you get into 2 for 20, we install a cast iron glove on your left hand and make sure you get 2 errors, at which point you will consider today.
Don't you dare wash it with soap.
No. And this brings an end to Positivity Corner.
It was like 5 minutes.
Thank you for attending. Please disregard anything else you hear the rest of the show. Remember only the good stuff. Guys, the Padres released a statement around 9 o'clock this morning. And it came directly from the pen of Peter Seidler, or the laptop of Peter Seidler. I have been calling for Peter Seidler to make a public statement for weeks. I've said it on this show. I've said it on Ben and Woods. I've had it replayed on Gwintelligence. Shout out Gwintelligence. Appreciate you, bros. Ad-free, still to this day. Your 9 podcasts a year are amazing. But Peter Seidler made a statement. He's had a physical issue. He's had a medical issue that's led to a medical procedure. They didn't tell us more. We know that Peter Seidler has had multiple issues with cancer in his past. We hope and pray that this is not the case right now, that it's something else. But Peter Seidler is not well. And he said in a public statement today that he will not be around the team the rest of the year, but that he hopes to be around the team, or expects. He didn't say hopes. He expects to be around the team. He asserted that he will be around the team next year. And get well, Peter Seidler. Like, on the most basic level, please be well, sir. Please be healthy. Please be well. Thoughts and prayers, everything else. I hope that Peter Seidler is okay.
100%, man. When we say that we need to hear from Peter Seidler, it's because it's his team. We've bought that. Like, we're like, yes, absolutely, Peter Seidler, make this your team, because you're bringing energy we've never seen before. And apparently that energy, has been coming at a tremendous cost personally. And it sucks. He's a guy who has made himself, I don't want to say like a pillar of the community, but I mean, a cornerstone, kind of out of nowhere, a name that we didn't know in the late 90s, early 2000s, just wasn't around. And now it's almost the identity of the team, and that's how we like it. So we've wanted to hear from him about the baseball. The baseball is central to this show. It's central to what we're paying attention to during the summertime and our identities as fans. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter at all. At the end of the day, we want Peter Seidler to be there for his family and enjoy his time on this planet, because we only get so much, all of us.
Yeah, and it's obviously we didn't know anything until this morning, so it's I think really irresponsible to just kind of postulate all the different things that could be wrong. We don't. Craig, you said we don't know what we don't know in the outline, and I will second that. The one thing that I will say is I think that Peter Seidler is. His effect on the game of baseball is going to be felt for a very long time. And I really hope he's around for a long time to continue that vision. But he has nearly single-handedly proven most of the other owners to be liars. That they can't spend money, they can't do this, they can't do that. And he's turned the model and of not just baseball, by the way, but other professional sports. But baseball obviously being the oldest and having a specifically kind of unique identity in this country. It cannot be understated how important Peter Seidler is and what he's done to the game, not just in San Diego, but across baseball. So we wish him well, and we hope we get to be talking about Peter Seidler for many, many years to come on this show.
I hope we get to be attacking Peter Seidler 2-3 years from now, brutally.
Sure, because that means he's here, he's healthy, he's fine, and well, I don't want to be attacking him. I hope he sees the error of his ways.
I want to
hope-
be attacking where he put the World Series trophy.
Yeah, I want to.
He shouldn't have put it in that place.
That parade
Peter.
was bullshit, Peter.
Yeah.
There were
Failure to install the hot tub in a fan-friendly location inside
Garbage.
Petco Park.
Garbage.
Cowardly, frankly.
Yeah.
It is too
I'll
far away from
fucking
those
shred
nachos.
his veins for that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But no, we hope you're completely healthy for us to shred your veins when you don't put the hot tub in the right place after we win the championship at Petco Park. Yeah, you said it, Raphie. We don't know what we don't know. So we have no idea. They said medical procedure. Everyone says, well, he had cancer, so it might not be that. You don't know. You have no idea. Lay off.
Yeah, it's health, so don't worry about it. It's not your
It's
business.
health. Let's hope he's fine. Don't ask any more questions. Let's hope he's fine. The last thing I wanted to say off this, I've been particular in calling out Peter Seidler. And I mentioned this before, and I said it on this show, and I've said it on Ben and Woods. I've been looking for him to make a statement. I've been looking for him to make a statement before the final deadline to renew season tickets. That didn't happen. I'm going to have more to say about this in just a minute based on some further reporting that's come out today. But obviously, if Peter Seidler has been sick and in the hospital and having a procedure, then I don't expect him to make a public comment about the 2023 San Diego Padres. And I want to make that very clear. Someone asked me on Discord today, like, well, how do you feel about the things you've said about Peter Seidler now that you hear that he's been sick? Okay, well, obviously, on the most basic level, I hope he gets well. I feel bad for saying anything because I hope he gets well. And as soon as he's ready to speak, I'm looking forward to hearing from him. The other thing I'd like to say, though, is that nature abhors a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. And when there is nothing, when there is a vacuum, it will be filled. It will be filled by things that maybe shouldn't be there. So when we hear nothing at a critical point where we need to hear something, we're going to say what we need to say. And if Peter Seidler's unavailable, it might be cool to let everyone know that Peter Seidler's unavailable at a time when it's really important. And I truly, truly, to my heart, to the point where if I lose a job because of it, I'm fine with it. I believe that in public relations, being honest has incredibly positive value, has a plus expected value. It's plus EV to a level that you would never expect. Because when you're honest with people, they'll understand what's going on. But if you say nothing because you think saying nothing is better than being honest, everyone's going to fill that emptiness with whatever they want to fill it with. So I'm not like literally criticizing the Padres for not saying 3 weeks ago, hey, Peter Seidler's having a medical procedure or whatever. And we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what it was or why it was or what happened. We have no idea. From cancer to vasectomy, we have no idea, like what the procedure was. But nature abhors a vacuum. And that's I'm not trying to defend myself. I'm just saying, when you don't say anything, don't expect everyone to sit back politely waiting, expecting something bad.
For sure. And it also speaks to like maybe some organizational weakness, because if you had a reliable presence, like a leader, like somebody who can go in front of the cameras and deliver the team's message in the president of baseball operations desk or the general manager desk, if you had somebody who was getting out in front of the public and taking all those questions about the team and about the baseball and, not having to direct those towards the owner, that would be one thing. But we haven't also heard shit from AJ Preller. He went on the radio a month ago and like didn't say anything that gave us any ease or comfort, and just gave us kind of the same bullshit we've heard all year. Matt Carpenter's a quality guy and he's going to turn around. We all heard it, and that's the last thing we've heard. So Craig, no, you don't have to apologize. Like this is a multi-billion-dollar organization that should have leadership facing out towards the public, being accountable. And if the owner can't do that because he's not feeling well, that's fine. Next man up. Where's the leadership depth chart? Where's the flow chart? Next guy. That's who we should have seen.
All right. So that's Peter Seidler. Please get well soon. Thoughts and prayers, all of it. I hope Peter Seidler is 100% healthy to be his 100% self so that we can talk about this team without worrying about his physical well-being and you know, how he is going to exist in the universe going forward. I hope he exists here for a long time as the Padres owner. Okay. Kevin Acey's been in the crosshairs. Kevin Acey put out a big story on Friday. I've heard multiple interviews with him since. Major props to Kevin for putting himself out there, for following through on a reporter's job. And a reporter's job is to find a story and report it out. And wherever the story leads you, to tell the truth. And he was put in a very difficult situation, covering a dysfunctional group and trying to report out that dysfunction. It appears clear to me that there was something akin to an intervention taking place through Kevin Acey with players on the team wanting to say something to Manny without being able to say it to him. So they needed it to go through the media in order for it to happen. And I think the Padres are in a better place than they were Friday because that piece was published. So big ups to Acey. I know that doing that put him at personal career risk. It put him in a place where he has said he's been receiving threats because he wrote the story, not from Padres players, not from Yonder Alonso or Will Myers. Don't worry. But like literally San Diego Padres fans are like DMing him or texting him threats because he wrote that story. And that's fucking ridiculous. Okay. Anyone who did that, you're a fucking asshole. Kevin's a reporter. He did his job. He reported a story that everyone who knows this team knew was something. And he put words to it. And he put quotes to it. And he put it directly to Manny.
And he put his name on it.
And he put his name
on it.
100%.
I got to interview Kevin for my last show, and that was a cool experience. We were no ones, and he said yes to us. So we'll always give Kevin props for that when he did that. But I also listened this week to his Hot Lava podcast that he does with Ryan Finley and the UT, and it's their Padres show. No free ads, by the way. But he kind of gives his whole, stump speech about writing this story. And the thing that he said was, I would not put this out there if I didn't 100% believe in the piece. And I think that means something. You guys have said it, but he's putting his ass on the line doing this. So whether or not you agree with what was said or anything like that, I have his credibility is completely fine. You know what I mean? In this town, it is he is the beat reporter of the paper. You know what I mean? That's whatever you want to believe about the paper and everything like that. He is the guy for this town right now for the paper. And he risked a lot putting that story out there. He really did.
Yeah.
And so, whatever you think about what was said and everything like that, we should commend him for doing that, which all three of us are doing.
He did a good job, too. I was arguing with a bunch of clowns on Reddit, probably these same jokers who are sending threats because they're clowns, who don't understand how journalism works. A guy was like, nothing was corroborated. It was all anonymous sources. That's what corroboration is, you friggin' morons. You hear something, and then you ask 6 other people. You don't put all their names in the newspaper. You've never seen that in your life. That's not how it works. That's not journalism. These guys have to find out a thing and then work their way through to the truth. Because if they put something in the paper that is factually wrong, that if Kevin Acey put in the newspaper that Manny was not taking infield drills consistently, and then there was something produced that shows Manny showing up early every single day, Kevin Acee would be fired. That
He's
is
done.
accountability. He's
Done.
gone. If you write something that is presented as factual and it is not, you are done as a journalist. Unlike every asshole on Twitter, unlike all these jokers on Reddit, unlike me, I can say whatever the hell I want. If I'm wrong, nobody's coming after me because that's opinion. Kevin Acee is a journalist. He wrote a journalist piece. He wrote, not necessarily an expose, but he wrote something about things that we don't know about. And you have to take him at his word about the factual bits. Do I think his opinion is tainted? Yes. I'm sure a lot of other people out there do. But don't make that a personal thing. He did his job well, like he has all season long.
There's no question that Manny Machado and Kevin Acee have an adversarial relationship. I heard him today on the Darren Smith show, and he offered some further insight into the reporting of the piece. I would recommend anyone go listen to that on the iHeart Radio app or wherever you want to get your podcast. Apple Podcast has it too. And in that conversation, he mentioned that he and Manny talked about their relationship and about their relationship after the piece aired and about Kevin's very confident and ambitious assertion that he would be there as long as Manny Machado was there and that Manny would be there as long as he was there. Like, I'm not sure about the future of print journalism quite as much as that, Kevin. Maybe you'll be doing it on your Substack in 2032. But nonetheless, that they had that conversation of like, hey, like, I know you hate me and maybe I don't like you that much, but we're gonna be here and I'm gonna keep covering you. And here is a perfect moment for us to understand what our relationship is. That if I've got 2 years of information about how you're fucking over the team, I'm going to report it, but I'm going to give it all to you. You're going to know all of it before it's presented, and you're going to have the opportunity to respond to all of it. And quite frankly, Manny, and we're going to talk about it more as the show goes on, he spoke to reporters today. He said some mealy mouth bullshit like, well, there were some quotes that weren't in this story too. There were some things said that weren't in the story. Yeah, like every story in the history of mankind, not every word that's said to a reporter is always published because they said that word to that person. Like, no, you write a story. It's not just a dumping ground. But nonetheless, that was a bullshit like attempt to navigate. What he was really saying was everything in there I knew and everything in there is true. So that was a big puff up for Acee. Acee's done a really good job. And let's talk about the next thing that Acee's reported. Because Friday, that story came out on the front page of the newspaper. Kevin writes a near daily newsletter. It's not every single day, but it's most days. And this morning, I read Kevin's newsletter. And I think the biggest story he's reported all year was just dropped in paragraph 4 as a passing mention. Just dripped in. This should have been the lead story on C1 today. But it was just dripped into the newsletter in paragraph 4. Here I now read for you the reporting. Quote, multiple sources have maintained for months that the Padres plan to curb spending in 2024. While there's no telling what owner Peter Seidler will ultimately do, their projected target is evidently around $200 million, give or take a few million, which would still likely have them in the top 10 among the 30 MLB clubs. He then pivoted to talk about Soto and Nick Martinez and other people. What? Padres are at $251 million in 2023. We're going to go to $200 million in 2024? 200? We're going to cut $51 million, give or take, from 20%. The payroll year to year? What the actual fuck? 3 years in a row, season ticket prices have gone up. 3 years in a row to fund one of the top 5 payrolls in Major League Baseball. The Red Sox just drifted from top 3 down through the top 10, and their GM got fired. The Giants failed to sign Judge or Correa, and they've drifted down a little bit. And Farhan Zaidi's on the hot seat. Are you telling me, literally 3 days after the deadline for Padres season ticket members to renew for 2024, that we're cutting payroll by $50 million next year? What the fucking fuck? Fuckity fuck balls. What?
We heard in our survey that people like it when Craig curses, so
Yeah. I guess we
expect
need
an
the
uptick.
hit the explicit tag on today's podcast, Craig.
Fucking
so
fuck.
we just gassed up Kevin Acee, and deservedly so. However, I just do distinctly remember articles written not only about debt reduction, which is the infrastructure week of Padres culture, but also I seemingly, and again, this is now conjecture, but I do remember, I think last year in the offseason, there was a piece that was about, maybe the Padres are going to cut back, but again, this the usual hedging, who knows? And then we went and signed Xander Bogaerts to a $280 million decade-long contract. So I truly put no stock in this, because I think this is when it's one thing when you have a piece where you're saying, hey, I've talked to 30 people on the team in uniform and players and et cetera, et cetera. Multiple sources have maintained for months, could be like 2 guys in the front office. You know what I mean? So I until it's spelled out in the way that it was spelled out in the Manny piece, I will take it with a grain of salt. And I'm also wondering who was motivated to be saying that we'll be cutting payroll and doing those sort of things. But in sentiment, I completely agree with you, Craig. You can't raise season ticket prices dramatically, even though it was labeled as a marginal increase. It was a dramatic increase when season ticket prices have already been raised, and then cut payroll by if you want to sell it, by the way, like the Dodgers have, and say, oh, it's a CBT reset because we're going to chase Ohtani or something, like, you could maybe make that argument that we want to reset the clock or anything like that. But just to say like, oh, we're going to cut payroll to be 30 million under the cap, that's a horrible look. It's a horrible look.
The thing is, this isn't the first time we've heard it. Like, I'm not quite sure where you're getting that. Like, Eric Grubner has said that we're not going to spend this way forever. There's been hints about it for as long as the Padres have been acting crazy with money. And like Raphie points out, it's not only AC who has said last year that they are going to keep their payroll on the same. All the beat reporters were. Dennis Lin, AJ Casavel. Nobody saw the Padres adding $30 million to their payroll from 2022 to 2023 or whatever they wound up raising. I do think that there is a gravity to this, to the Padres spending. And top 10 is good. Top 10 is fine by me. If they this gets into Peter Seidler not being well, and I don't want to go there because it's so new and he means so much. But the future without him, we've talked about it. We've seen what teams do when the team gets passed down. It goes to some absolute broke dick friggin' Nepo baby who is greedy, self-centered, and not about what Peter Seidler's about.
I believe that happened in your outside the park replay.
Oh my goodness. This is Raphie's.
I was not going to say anything, but yes, sometime in the mid-2020s in my OOTP, this is simulation, okay? This is not real life, but sometime in the mid-2020s, Peter Seidler unfortunately passes away, and it gets passed to Dave Seidler. I don't know if that's really what his name is, by the way. Dave Seidler definitely sounds like what would be like Nepo baby, the nephew. I am Dave Seidler. But he immediately cut payroll upon taking over the team. So
love your show,
it is
Dave.
a very realistic sim. So who's to say? But that's
disturbingly realistic.
Disturbingly so.
All right, so I want to attack this directly, gentlemen. We are nothing at Padres Hot Tub if not direct. So let's attack this directly. Let's take them at their word through AC's reporting. And like you guys said, and I want to reiterate, Kevin has been wrong about the payroll before, and he may be wrong about the payroll again. So this could be as simple as Josh Stein keeps getting blindsided by Preller and Seidler like over and over again.
He keeps talking to Kevin. No, it's happening this year, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, man. He told me 100% we're going down to $200 million next year. What? Like, maybe we're not privy to those conversations. But for the purpose of this podcast and this conversation, let's take them at their word. The Padres, according to Spot Track, Baseball Reference, etc., they are at $251 million for the 2023 payroll. Now, their luxury tax or CBT tax number is higher than that because it takes into account average salaries of contracts, not literal 2023 payroll commitment. But literal 2023 payroll commitment, $251 million. How do we get from 251 to around 200 in 2024 without being a bullshit team that does not compete for the championship next year? Let's throw some information at our audience.
Like it.
What's that? Go ahead, Chris.
I said I like it.
I like it. Okay. Here's some information you will like. The first thing you're guaranteed to like. Yu Darvish is going to be cheaper next year than last year. He made $25 million this year plus a $5 million signing bonus. And next year, he'll make $16 million. So for payroll purpose, that's a $9 million drop next year. From 2023 to 2024, you keep Yu Darvish, maybe minus his elbow, figure that out. But you get him at 16 instead of 25 next year. Manny Machado, you may be surprised to learn, will make $17 million next year as a San Diego Padre. 17. Not 35. 17. That's what he's going to make next year. However, that's what he made this year as well with the new contract extension. He's going to get paid out the fucking ass from 2025 or 2026 to the end of his career. He's going to get paid like a madman from 2026 on. But for next year, 2025, and for this year, Manny Machado is only paid $17 million. I tell you that to let you know there's no discount for Manny. He's only getting paid 17 next year, but he was only getting paid 17 this year. So there's no discount next year for Manny. Jake Cronenworth goes up $3 million next year, goes from 4 to 7. Okay, so Darvish minus Cronenworth, you've got a $6 million savings so far.
You're 10% of the way there, Craig.
You're 10% of the way there. Rafe, if the Padres do not sign Blake Snell to a contract, they will not only not pay the $25, $28, $30 million that Snell would be owed in 2024, but they will also be off the hook for the $16.6 million that he was paid this year. Yes, Blake Snell was paid this year to probably win the NL Cy Young, the same amount or just about the same amount that the Padres would have to commit to Michael Wacha to bring him back next year. Nonetheless, $16.6 million gets us to $22.6 million of savings. And if the Padres let Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo both go, did not tender them the club contract, and they both decided not to do the player opt-in, that would be approximately, based on bonuses and everything else, about another $16 million of savings. So that's 32.6 plus 6. That's $38.6 million of savings going into next season. losing your fourth starter, losing your fifth starter, losing your first starter. Wow. How do we get to $50 million of savings putting a full team on the field without trading Juan Soto, who should be paid about $35 million next year based on arbitration plus the year he's had, etc.? $30 to $35 million. Can we even do it if we don't trade Soto?
Or somebody else? Like, there's a few other guys with those contracts going around. Nick Martinez will go down a couple million because he got paid 10 this year, and his player option, because the Padres will almost definitely decline the team option, giving him 16 the next two. I think his player option is 8. So there's another 2.
And look, in the very same newsletter, Kevin Acee wrote something like, and I'll try and find the exact quote, that Nick Martinez would get paid over what he got this year, and that he has a chance to go over that number.
With
that
bonuses?
would kind of shock me. I don't really know that Nick Martinez has a $17 million contract waiting for him somewhere else in baseball.
Oh, like on the free agent market, like he's probably worth more than
Padres
8.
decline, he doesn't opt in, and he gets paid for someone else.
Yeah, like stacking years together, because he seems like an $8 million a year guy. But yeah, like you might get more years guaranteed, so that's more guaranteed money. So yeah, Lugo, Waka, Martinez potentially gone, and you get to replace those guys with $0.
Martinez.
There's one other guy to mention, Josh Hader.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Josh Hader would also, in this mind, not be re-signed, come off the books. He'll sign somewhere else. We're just going to give Suarez the money, and that's $14 million. So that gets us kind of close, Raphie, but not quite there.
Yeah, I was just going to say about Martinez, he seems like someone who could, if he opted out, would suffer from the Jerkson Profar syndrome. Of being way more confident in himself on the market. Martinez is, I think, for other teams would be like they might see him as like a reclamation project. Not that he needs to be reclaimed in that sense, but like he's someone who you could, like a Tyler Anderson type, where you're like, the Dodgers get their hands on him and it's like, oh, okay, he's got these tools and like whatever. But the point of signing those guys is that you can get them for cheap. It's not that you're going to go and like pay what their market value is. It's that, hey, you come sign here for a lower price. So I think if I'm Nick Martinez, I'm opting in, and because then I can make the same decision next year, and decide, if I have a good walk here,
because he's effectively guaranteed a 2-year, $16 million deal with the player.
Absolutely, they're going to be letting Josh Hader go and handing the ball off to Robert Suarez, as they should. That's why they gave Robert Suarez the money. Obviously, you hope he stays healthy. That was like a sneaky huge loss for us to not have Robert Suarez for most of this year. I think what you're going to see is they're going to try and reverse engineer a lot of their minor league dudes into filling out a bullpen. And so you're just going to get those like really cheap pre-arb guys. My hope, and I said this, I think on last week's show too, is that Jairo Iriarte stays a starter, because that's what he's been mostly been used. But at the end of this year, he turned into a reliever, and he's got enough velocity that he could just be a big league reliever and pitch fastball, slider. And that's a cheap arm that they can use to backfill a bullpen. And I mean, other than that, like, if they're really committed to getting below 200 million, I really think that if that's the priority, then you have to trade Juan Soto, because that's the biggest and most net positive thing you could get something back in that situation. However, I texted you guys this today, and I maintain this. If they have the opportunity to extend Juan Soto, I believe they'll do it. Like, I just think that they will. Not only because I think it's like probably the most defensible extension that you can make that they haven't done yet. But it just doesn't seem like, based on the track record of what we've seen over the last 3 years, that that's an opportunity that this front office would pass up. Like, I just, because again, it's the whole reason you made that trade in the first place, If you have the opportunity to give him an extension and you don't, and James Wood is up there hitting 50 home runs a year, it's going to look really bad. And so I think as part of the plan, you have to make that move. And this is, by the way, why I don't buy into the $200 million thing. Is that they have the chance to extend Juan Soto, they're going to do it, and then the $200 million thing goes out the window. So I take everything with a grain of salt. But yeah, it sounds like you could get under the CBT of 235. I think you can get close to that. I don't know if they'll be able to get their luxury tax figure below that, but they'll get close. Sounds like you're gonna have to cobble it together.
Yeah, especially if the luxury tax is the motivation, dude, then you have to flip Soto for like 2 or 3 controllable guys who are in the major leagues and who are definitely not stars.
But I don't think it is the motivation. I think it's genuinely the money that's being doled out.
Yeah, cash.
Is the 200 million, because there's also the reason that the Machado and Cronenworth and all these other extensions were constructed in the way they were constructed. It's this, by the way, to bring everyone back. Do you remember when Will Myers' contract was backloaded because they wanted to bring a bunch of guys in 2015 to compete? And it's like, okay, we'll do you the solid later for doing us the solid now, and we'll pay you less up front. Right. I mean, this was the idea. It was the same. Another item in the AJ Preller Never Changes, scorecard is that he did the same shit. And so I think that that's firmly part of it, and that's why they're going to quote unquote curb spending. It's not necessarily a CBT number. It's like physically the dollars that are getting doled out.
I think getting under the CBT in 2024 is an extremely defensible position for the San Diego Padres. Becoming a third-time offender is pretty stupid. Becoming a third-time offender for a non-playoff team is extremely stupid. Like, extraordinarily stupid. So I respect that. And I understand that. Kevin, who has been really good on reporting on a lot of things, has factually been wrong about payroll more than 3 times.
And he's not alone.
No, sure. So take that for what it's worth. When I saw this, and I kind of freaked out at 9:00 this morning, like, I truly believe it's not viable for the Padres to drop their payroll by $50 million in 2024, the same year that they've raised their season ticket prices 3 years in a row. I think taking 2024 as the bite the bullet, get under the CBT, use our farm system to get through strategy is flawed. It's a year undercooked, at least. I do think a year like that, we talked about it on our last show. We literally did a whole segment on how do you break the cycle without breaking the window, right? The way you break the cycle is you have 1 year where you don't spend a shit ton on free agent pitchers. You bring up minor leaguers to stem the tide. You let players leave at $20, $25 million. You replace them with $750,000 players. You bite the bullet. And you get to the next year. But is 2024 that year for the Padres where they can cut payroll, cut commitment, commit to minor leaguers, and allow themselves to bridge the gap? Is it? I mean, no. Snelling just got to AA. Iriarte just got to AA. Salas is overexposed at AA. Where?
He's hurt.
No way.
He's gone.
We need to spend over our mistakes in 2024 to get to a 2025 and a 2026 where we can engage in this type of behavior responsibly as a championship organization. I just don't see it for 2024. If they don't spend in 2024, I don't think they're going to win in 2024. I really don't think so. And if they don't win in 2024, their financial model is going to fucking collapse, boys. It's going to collapse. And then they won't be able to spend in 2025 and 2026 the way that they should. Quite frankly, either AC's wrong or we're fucked. That's how I feel about this report.
Yeah. Looming its shadowy head over all of these payroll figures, by the way, that we haven't mentioned. We still owe $12.9 million a year to Eric Hosmer for next season and
Well,
in 2025.
They know that. Like, that's built into why they're having to say
No,
this to Kevin
100%.
AC.
I'm just saying that why we're having to do these gymnastics the way we're doing it is that's a significant number. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it plays into the next item on our menu, guys. Is like, is it a cold hard cash thing because they saw, these huge attendance numbers from this year, and maybe their feedback in the season ticket thing is they're going to see a marginal decrease. Like, all those people who went on the waiting list, they're going to backfill in, and then maybe they don't have the same number. So, like, 7% of your attendance drop is huge. And this team has seen attendance collapse before when it stopped investing back in 2015 and 2016. You got your spike in your 2015, 2016 years, and then bam, 2.1 million, the same number it's been 8 years out of the last 10.
Well, let's transition, because I do think this is low-key the single most important issue facing the San Diego Padres going forward. I actually think this, and I'd love one of you to tell me that I'm full of shit, okay?
It's climate change, Craig.
Climate change is going to allow us to start hitting some real homers as things warm up at Petco Park, and we are set, baby! Luis Camposano, 48 homer season? It's coming! Right as we fry eggs. No, okay. The Padres, you may remember, were on Bally Sports San Diego at the beginning of this year. And then around late May, that stopped because Bally Sports decided not to pay, literally not to cut the check that they had promised for the right to pay for Padres baseball. And so that got disrupted. And for the first time ever, Major League Baseball went to a single team subscription model. And the first team that was their guinea pig was the San Diego Padres. In June and July of this year, you gained the option to spend $10, $20 a month to see only Padres games streaming via whatever streaming platform you had, whether you could put it on your TV or your laptop or your phone or whatever. Major League Baseball very much anticipated coming into 2023 that our good friends, and by that I mean fucking assholes, at Sinclair, the owners of the Bally Sports Group, were going to renege on their deals to multiple teams. And so they made it clear at the owners' meetings that in 2023 specifically, if Sinclair / Bally did to the Padres or any team, what happened to the Padres, that this year only, they would cover up to 80% of the reneged contract. And that's exactly what happened. Bally Sports reneged, stopped paying the Padres anything, and beginning in June, MLB started cutting the Padres checks for 80% of what was owed to them in their existing television contract with Bally Sports. That deal ends after game 162. It's over. Done. The Padres are on their own in 2024. They need to find a new partner to overpay for the Padres broadcast rights. And if that doesn't happen, then they have to cobble together something that will allow the Padres broadcasts to go to the majority or all of San Diego County. And if that doesn't happen, they have to go back to a subscription model that, based on the reporting, what little reporting I've heard, has massively, can I say it even more dramatically, massively underwhelmed the projections for what the Padres would get for subscriptions and for intake money. How the fuck are we going to pay for this team if they don't have a TV contract, boys?
We cut the writer's room.
Drew Barrymore's doing the broadcast with Don and Mud.
We'll do 3 seasons in 1. It's Winning Time Season 2 all over again. We're going to get her done.
It's the same thing we're facing in my industry, man. Like, streaming is a business model that they propped up as that was going to save all these companies, and it has eaten shit for a lot of them. So they have all this debt that they took on, promising revenues and subscriber numbers, and some of them hit them, and they've done great. But the ones that haven't have died, have gone away completely. There's too much piracy. Streaming is unreliable, as far as generating revenue. And unless Major League Baseball, and this is where it gets kind of fun, Major League Baseball is trying to figure this out as a whole for the entire league. And all these teams have the individual contracts right now, so it's a gigantic mess. Trying to figure out what's going to happen is tough, Craig. I'm going to try not to worry about it because I've seen what it's done to my industry. And if the Padres are looking down this barrel, it's a big gun, man.
Yeah. There's a reason, by the way, that based on what's going on in this industry right now, the streamers and the studios are so headstrong and not wanting to budge on giving away the numbers of people who are watching it. It's because it's exactly what's happened to the Padres. Like, the minute that number becomes public, you're like, oh my God, no one's watching in the way that they're telling us that they're watching. And so their stock prices are going to go down. And oh no, none of this stuff is worth as much. So they're desperately trying to cling to keep this information secret for this very reason. And the reason, by the way, that cable as a model was so lucrative is because everyone had to fucking buy the channel, even if they didn't want it or not. While you guys were talking, I pulled up the article that was written, which, by the way, was the reason everyone hated cable. But when the Dodgers signed their current television deal, this is an article from 2013 written by Joe Flint and Bill Shaken in the LA Times. Their deal they signed with Time Warner at the time was a 20-year agreement that was valued to be worth between $7 and $8 billion over the life of the deal. Yes, which is why they can spend so much money. It's because they have this locked in revenue. And there are comments in the article. There was I lost the quote. But there was this woman from Orange County who said, quote, like, I'm not even a Dodgers fan. Why do I have to pay for it? That's why it's worth so much money, because they were charging people $5 a month just to carry this specific channel. The answer is staring us right in the face, boys. Channel 4 San Diego. Bring it back. Yeah. The Quattro. Just run it back. Get Matt Vasgersian back in the mix, all right?
Mel Proctor, baby.
Yeah, here we go. Quattro.
Moses Malone said, faux.
What's Sam the cooking guy doing these days, huh? He's probably around, right?
He is crushing YouTube. He is killing he is killing the multimedia market. Yeah, he's doing great.
He and Scanlon are going to host the pregame show.
Oh, good Lord.
Next year. Yeah, guys, we're in a really fucked spot because, no, you brought it up, but it's important, Rafe. Cox Cable can't afford to pay for the Padres' rights. There was a time where Cox Cable could afford to pay for the Padres' rights because the business environment was such that everyone had to buy Cox Cable in San Diego. And so they could buy and afford to buy the Padres and then lay it off to their customers as a value-added proposition. That no longer exists. Cox Cable doesn't have the market share in order to be able to command something like a gigantic $100 zillion contract to carry the San Diego Padres. The LA Dodgers games are carried by Spectrum. Spectrum is one of the only cable/multimedia companies that is spending huge on team contracts right now. Well, guess what Spectrum doesn't have in San Diego? Market share. They don't even have anywhere remotely near the piece of the pie where they'd want to create Spectrum Sports San Diego. So that's out the window. Bally Sports San Diego, done. They already tried that. They failed. They lost $1 zillion. They're done. So who is going to pay to stream the Padres? Where the money is coming, this is really important, guys. Where the money is coming right now in major sports media, it's coming from the big streamers.
Yep.
YouTube TV paid for the NFL. Amazon is paying for the NFL. Apple TV paid for MLS. It's not worked. Okay? It's not worked. It's fucking blown up. No one is lining up to give the market of San Diego, California, $100 zillion for their games right now. Nobody in today's media market, nobody is lining up to give the Padres an overpay for their 2024 through 2038 seasons. That's not happening. And if that's not happening, and if they are reliant on a subscription model for Padres baseball, guys, that's why, according to some of the stuff I've heard, the Padres have asked MLB for a loan for 2024. The Padres are looking at another owner's call for money for 2024. Like, this is as big as anything. This is literally as big as anything facing the San Diego Padres organization for the 2020s. They don't have a reliable TV contract. They don't have a Yes or a Root Sport. Root Sports is nowhere near here. They can't jump in. There's nobody around ready to spend money on the Padres.
YouTube and Amazon, their deals with the NFL work because the NFL shares all its broadcast revenue. All their TV money gets split. MLB has a bunch of greedy fucks who, when they put all this together, the big teams were like, no, we're the Yankees. We don't want to share our money with friggin' Cincinnati. That's dumb. We're not going to do that. So they shot themselves in the foot, created this huge structure where everybody gets to negotiate their own thing. They don't split it. And a team like San Diego, like you said, Craig, because they don't have the league negotiating on their behalf, that sort of leverage, MLB could probably get an amazing deal with Apple or those kind of things, but they can't because it's split up amongst 30 different organizations, which are usually run by a selfish, cheap bastard who inherited from his selfish, cheap father.
God dang, that's so well said, Chris. Really well said. I appreciate it. Anything else on this topic? I'm just putting it out there. We're in money trouble time, and the single biggest source of money isn't lining up for the Padres. They have raised their ticket prices again. They're going to set the all-time team attendance record, and it's not enough. It's like not close to enough, where they're talking about cutting the payroll $50 million next year. This is the blood pressure of the Padres. This is the silent killer right here. No TV deal, no gigantic over. Every time along the road in history prior to this, some asshole has shown up with a checkbook and said, I'm willing to overpay. Like right when Cox saw their gambit fall apart, Bally showed up. Like, hey, I'm willing to overpay. And then they overpaid. And then guess what happened? It failed. And they went into bankruptcy. This has happened over and over and over again the last 25 years in modern media. And quite frankly, the market right now, the environment is not amenable to the Padres finding the deal that they need. The market is not amenable to the Padres seeking a solicitor who's going to give them the money that they need. And figuring out how to get from here to there without that money, it's tricky, guys.
I just want to say we've been overlooking something this whole time. We do have a San Diego connection that I think can come in clutch for us. I want to thank Phil Mickelson and the Saudi Prince for bringing in Live MLB. It's going to be a huge hit. Again, MBS. This is for a long time. I can't even say it with a straight face. Long time been a pro Saudi Salvin Wealth Fund show. Huge fans.
Oh yeah, bone saws out here.
Hey, when we went to the sand uniforms, that was forward thinking, okay? That was forward thinking.
And we just want to say we have a very navigable harbor for your super yacht. You can come on in.
True.
You can launch just helicopter directly onto center field. It'll be great.
Yeah,
just think about it. Okay.
You can what did Craig say you can tie up to? The posts? The hell
post,
did you say earlier?
The slip, the what is it? The boot?
Should we give away a bobblehead?
Absolutely. It's giveaway time. Last week, we told you if you commented on our Padres Hot Tub main video, you would be entered into a spinning wheel to pick up this Juan Soto bobblehead. Raphie, press the button. Send us back in time. Let's find out who's the winner.
I know that John Galt character is a Dodgers fan. I'm now concerned.
Yes!
Yeah! Who?
Shart Stain McGee?
When I was writing all the names down, I was like, I desperately hope that the winner is Shart Stain McGee. And lo and behold, the gods have smiled upon us today on this Monday night. For Shart Stain McGee is our champion.
It's so much better with the echo, Raphie.
Shart Stain McGee! This bobblehead is for thee, Shart Stain McGee! Congratulations and thanks to everybody for participating.
I think Xander Bogaerts would look really good in one of those Saudi and Arabian white thing, the white outfit they wear. I'm completely ignorant. Cell phone, like for sure, whatever that garment is called, Xander would look amazing in it.
Not for nothing, I agree. All right, so let's wrap up and actually talk about the team. The Padres are
baseball,
right?
actual, not media, not contracts. I'm not worried about it because I don't worry about things out of my control, Craig, and I can control the Padres baseball operation.
Brr. As of the moment of our recording, the Padres are beating the Rockies 7-3. Luis Campusano has a 3-run homer. Eggy Rosario and Garrett Cooper have homered. Xander Bogaerts is leading off with 2 hits and 2 runs scored. Manny Machado just walked, which maybe helps me in our fantasy matchup today, but other than that is not a whole lot right now. And the Padres are on the verge of winning 5 games in a row. So now we talk about the team. The Padres got to game 150, and in game 150 of 162, they won their 4th game in a row. It took 150 games to win 4 games in a row, but the Padres did win 4 games in a row, and right now they're angling for 5 in a row.
If they get to 10, I believe, baby. Woohoo!
We all said it.
Play the saxophone.
We all said it, and we will guarantee if the Padres win 10 games in a row, we'll do a post-game show again. But, guys, so what? God damn it.
Obnoxious. Most obnoxious team in history.
Do we always have to have a fucking GM named AJ in San Diego?
Only if they're going to torpedo the team.
I mean, how many Chargers seasons did we all live through where they were 4-8? And it was like, well, if they win 4 in a row and every other team drops X, Y, and Z, then yes, they're going to sneak in as the 6th seed.
They'll play
the
the Bills.
Play the and then AJ Smith would be like, well, line them up 3 deep and let them compete. You know, I mean, AJ Preller is the Lord of No Rings. I'm going to channel my buddy Jay Paris. He called AJ Smith the Lord of No Rings all throughout Peter Jackson's hierarchy, right? And it resonated better. But who's more the Lord of No Rings than AJ Preller? It drives me crazy to see this. We predicted it. We knew it in the darkest fucking corner of our blackened, shriveled Padres heart. We knew that they would shit the bed right till the moment of irrelevance, and then they'd win every game. the rest of the way so that they could create the false narrative that they were always better than we thought. And F you for thinking for 7 months that they were a disappointment. The whole time they were great. You were the asshole for being mad every time that they went 6-22 and 0-11 in extra innings and everything else. It was your fault. It was your problem for being such a dick for expecting them to win like all the time. No, they're going to concentrate all their wins at the end of the year so that they can go 82-80 and say, yeah, we had a winning year and we just came up a couple wins short of the playoffs, boys, but we don't have to change anything. We don't have to reflect. We don't have to think. We don't have to do anything. We can cut payroll and be fine and raise ticket prices and everything is going to be fine. We swept the A's and look what we did to the motherfucking Rockies in the last 2 weeks of the season. Look at that. Sit on it and enjoy your season tickets in 2024. Okay.
Yep.
I got a little off the handle there, but I'm sorry.
I should first of all say, I talked about seeing the game in Oakland on Banter. So if you want to hear about that, hear that. The A's aren't a baseball team. Like they're not. Like
No,
seeing them in person, I mean, first of all,
they could take on the Savannah Bananas.
They sure could
and play well,
and maybe do well against the El Paso Chihuahuas at elevation. But like
Jay Groom's there.
It really is like the real life major league where you're like, oh my God, they are absolutely taking the team and putting a bunch of shitbags on here to try and move them. It's happening. It's real life. When Ryan Noda threw the ball away at the Saturday game that I was at and allowed 2 runners to score, when I tell you there was no one within 20 yards of him, of where he threw that ball, like there was absolutely no one. And so I find it tough to really it feels like a 3.5 game winning streak, if anything. And if they win tonight, I can finally be like, okay, now they've crested 4 games. I don't think we're gonna win out. I'm just gonna go out and say I don't think we're gonna win out. So the scenario in which they even have a chance to make the playoffs is very, I don't even think it's gonna happen. But Craig, you were able to find something today on Reddit. I think that came up in our board.
It did. In fact, somebody on Padres Reddit created what seems to be an extremely viable statistical simulation and ran the final 12 games of the season 1 million times. 1 million times. And I'm very pleased to report the results of this statistical endeavor in which the Padres won out and won every game of the regular season to get to 84 wins 0.03 times out of 1 million. So it was around 3,000 times out of 1 million that the Padres won every single game. 0.03%. The type of number I get really excited about when I put it in on Immaculate Grid. And I get the call.
That's some sicko stuff, Craig.
That's a sicko score. 0.03%. But here's the good news. In the million simulations, in the 0.03% where the Padres won out, they made the playoffs 28% of the time. So if you can clear the 0.03, you get to a rock solid 28% to make the playoffs this year.
You should have a Sex Panther. Wow! After that, because 90% or 20% of the time it works every time.
Absolutely. Now, right now, I just want to reconcile this. Right now, the Fangraphs odds of the Padres making the playoffs is, I believe, 0.02%. So
I think it's just 0.2, not 0.2.
Oh, 0.2. Okay. Understand, in that 0.2%, like 98% of the scenarios involve every team ahead of the Padres collapsing. Completely collapsing, like winning 2 or 3 games the rest of the way. And then the Padres winning out or winning close to out allows them to make it. And that's what gets you to 0.2%. Go ahead, Rafe.
I was going to say, Kevin Acey pointed this out in his newsletter today. So this is the best the other teams that could perform, because we would need to go undefeated. So in order for the Padres to secure the National League's final playoff spot, the Padres would need to go undefeated the rest of the way and have the Cubs go no better than 5-7, and the Marlins go no better than 6-6, and the Reds go no better than 6-5, and the Giants go no better than 8-4. So all of those things have to happen, and we have to run the table in that scenario. And any other scenario in which the Padres make the playoffs involves the other teams just absolutely collapsing. So it's not going to happen.
I think it's almost gaslighting, even to bring it up to our audience as somebody who says, forget about the playoffs months ago. It's a silly thing to do. They're not making the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs. The Padres aren't making the playoffs. I just wanted everybody to hear it. It's not happening. Let it go like Elsa.
Every day it gets easier, though. Every day you win, you get one closer. Are these guys the biggest fucking dicks in history or what? I mean, are they gonna really put us through this year and then win a dozen games in a row at the end of the year? And then hold us, like point at it, like the dude in the meme tapping the sign? You're gonna be like, look at our win streak.
I think they're going to be more like the guy sitting at the desk being like, we're a bad luck. It was just bad luck. Prove me I'm wrong. Like, you know, the guy at the college campus. What's the name?
Yeah.
He's got the sign.
Yeah.
Prove.
I'm hip.
Yeah. Argue with me or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, argue
Tell
with
me
me.
I'm wrong.
I love my effect right now for our YouTube audience. It looks like I'm just a head in the darkness.
It is exciting. So, look, it's super, super obnoxious. We literally predicted it. We said it so many times, sardonically, sarcastically. They're going to wait till they're out of it, and then they're going to win every game. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. They've gotten to September. They're averaging way over 6 runs a game. Juan Soto is hitting like an MVP. Xander Bogaerts is hitting like a silver slugger and an all-star and an all-MLB player. Fernando Tatis Jr. is wrapping up what is going to approach a 30-30 season. Manny Machado is playing through a tennis elbow. Luis Campusano is legitimately a good hitter, and he's getting the opportunity to hit, and he's hitting in big league baseball. And through it, the Padres are finding ways to win. This is literally what we thought in March would happen for 6 months, that even if they had bad pitching, they'd have the offense to paper over and allow them to win. And then when the pitching was good, they would dominate and they would kill teams and they would win easily. And that's why we all thought they would win 95 games or more this year. Objective, scientific people who really think about this team, who do not try to bullshit you, who are averse to gaslighting. We all thought they would win 95 games this year. Middle projection, 95 games. And they are probably not going to have a winning record. But here's the thing, guys. The Rockies suck. The Cardinals suck. The Giants are sucking. Like, they're playing really bad.
Their offense is evaporated.
They're done.
They're toast. The White Sox checked out like 6 months ago. Like, the White Sox failure to launch, like the Padres, they never launched. That's it for the Padres schedule. The rest of the year
would have been great if they would have banked 15 wins, 10 wins over the last 6 months. Man, what a position they'd be in.
It's so obnoxious. It's so disgusting. It's so pathetic. And it's literally where we are. And we just have to eat it. We just have to eat these wins. We have to eat this performance. We have to accept it. But before we get to Machado and his elbow and his surgery and our last topic today.
I got one thing. It's because Cronenworth's gone.
Crony left and this team took off. Baby.
Yeah, they got rid of that dead weight. The dour mood in the clubhouse. Always asking for people to cheer for him. He probably was just going up to guys, hey, dude, can you just clap a little bit more for me? Like on the dugout step, can you just give me
Jeb Bush style. Please clap.
Yeah.
please clap.
I just want Padres fans to remember, please, remember your past. Remember your not so distant past. Remember every team that sucked and underachieved and fumbled into middle August and late August as a complete non-contender, and then made the classic Padre push to the middle and fought their way to a middle upper 70s win record and allowed the front office and the management and everyone else to say, hey, remember that hot September? Remember when the guys were really playing great? It's going to carrying on over to the next year. Remember, I know things were tough in the beginning of the year, but you remember how good it was at the end of the year? It's going to be just like that all year next year. Don't worry, gang. Don't worry about it. Please remember your history. The Padres have done this to you. If you're an adult, they've done this to you at least 10 times in your lifetime, where they have dicked around at the end of the year and made a bad thing look a little better and then made you promise that you're going to believe in that little bit. Don't you dare take these 5 games and go, well, that's what it really was. Because I'm telling you, it's what Scan's going to do this offseason. What Jesse's going to do this offseason. God bless him. I love him. But he's a company man. Got to do his job. What Tony Gwynn Jr. is going to do. And every other pundit's going to follow suit. I already said to everyone last show, all 3 of us are going to betray Jesus and pretend he didn't exist by the end of this offseason. And we're going to say that it was bad luck or that things are just going to settle out for us by the end of the year. I'm so sorry, Raphie, to keep doing that. I'm so sorry. My son's in Catholic school. I keep going back to the trope. I'm agnostic. I swear I'm agnostic. But I just think it's funny. I'm sorry. I just think it's funny.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Keep doing it, please.
Nothing to do with the tribe, okay? Nothing to do with the tribe. But it's paralyzing in terms, like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I want change. I want assessment. I cannot accept just riding whatever happens in these next 10 games.
We are Tom Hanks pulling in Matt Damon, having been shot to shit, telling Matt Damon, who is really just the Padres, to earn this.
Okay. Let's talk Machado real quick. Manny Machado spoke to the press today prior to the Padres-Rockies game. And the news coming out of it is that Manny Machado is going to have surgery. He's going to have surgery on his right elbow, his throwing elbow, the quote-unquote tennis elbow injury. It means a fraying of the ligaments in the elbow. He said he's been in pain for something akin to 2 years. He said that today, that it's been bothering him all of last year as well as all of this year. Manny Machado also said he is not going to shut it down until the Padres are eliminated, but that at that point, he is probably going to go get surgery on his elbow. And that surgery, according to multiple folks, including multiple surgeons in our Discord, probably would sideline him for somewhere around 4 to 5 months. Now, the outer boundary of that could be 6 to 7 months. And some folks in our Discord immediately took that and one tweet and ran with it to say, oh, Manny's commanding the team and the players are running the asylum and it's unfair and it's malpractice that Manny is playing right now. That's just really not true, guys. I think all of the general timelines for tennis elbow would say that he could play to the point of elimination, get surgery in a reasonable time period after that, and be available for the first game of spring training. It would take a mal recovery, right? It would take a poor recovery for Machado to not be available at least the start of March next year. And as such, I think it's completely okay that Manny Machado is playing right now. Like, literally, they're not eliminated. They're trying to win their 5th in a row today as we're recording. They're not eliminated. And if he's going to shut her down the day that they're eliminated, I think that could be very much as much Preller, Grupner, etc., wanting Machado to keep playing as it is Machado. Because a lot of people are like, oh, Machado's so selfish. He's just trying to get 30 homers. He's just trying to get to his stats. He's trying to get to his baseball card numbers. Here's the thing. And please, guys, respond to this. I don't mean to monologue, but people show love in a lot of different ways. People show commitment in a lot of different ways. I'm in a relationship, long-term relationship, with someone who doesn't show me a lot of affection, but she'll tell me at times, like, I cook dinner. Like, like I show up and I cooked a meal. Like, that's how I show love. Manny Machado shows up every day. He posts up when he's hurt. He plays when he's in pain. He tries to create numbers when he is not feeling his physical best. And that's a form of baseball commitment. That's a form of baseball love. When Manny Machado says culture, what is this, college? What is this, high school? What he means by that is when my elbow is barking at the level that you wouldn't pick up a pencil, I pick up a glove and a fucking bat. And I show up in a Major League Baseball game where when I strike out or make an error, people boo me. And I do that because that's my level of commitment to the team. I'll play hurt. I'll play in severe pain. I'll play in debilitating pain. And I'll do that because I'm committed to what I do as a professional and as a major leaguer. I'm not excusing Manny Machado for his faults as a leader. I'm not doing that. I'm saying leadership in people's hearts, love and leadership come in different forms, sometimes in ways that you don't understand. This is what Manny thinks it means to be a leader. It's to play when your elbow is freaking you out, when you wake up in the morning and your elbow hurts, and you play. That's a form of leadership. It's not the form that we're looking for this team. It's a form of leadership, and I do respect Manny Machado for that. I do, deeply.
No, I'll keep it short because you kind of mirror what I was talking about last week in the guy. He's an individual. He thinks other people are doing the same thing that he does, coming from within. I did worry about him not getting surgery right away. And now that he has been transparent and told us all that what's going to happen, we shouldn't worry about that. Like, we should accept the transparency, be stoked about it, and, look forward to a healthy Manny Machado in 2024.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to what was reported in the Kevin Acee piece about his idea of culture and what being a leader means to him. And you touched on this a little bit, Craig, but he is someone who I really think, like, he doesn't necessarily think that everyone is as good as him, but he's kind of like, if everyone shows up and does what I do, we will win. You know what I mean? Which is just patently not true. Like, because no one is a generational talent like him, or not everyone is. So this is how he thinks that you build winners, by engaging in this behavior. So I think that when the Padres are mathematically eliminated, he will get the surgery, and it will not be, I think, a situation where he's missing significant time next year. I think if everything goes to plan, and by the way, the commitment that Manny Machado brings to playing, I suspect he will bring to rehabbing from a surgery. So
Exactly.
I have every reason to believe that he will come back and be strong for this.
He's already had a much bigger surgery with his knees, and he worked his ass off to come back.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a tough thing. The Padres signed Manny Machado. They got Manny Machado. They got who Manny Machado is. You don't get the idealized version. You get who you get. I heard Ben and Woods this morning both say that they would look at all the information today the same as they would have in March 1st and given Manny Machado his contract extension. I disagree. I think objectively and logically, the Padres would have been better off not giving Manny Machado his contract extension and experiencing whatever this offseason would have been, whether it would have been a re-signing at a reduced cost or him leaving to another team and them not having that payroll obligation for 10 more years to come. I think objectively that is the right thing. But as we've talked about Manny for so many days, I'm just saying love comes in different forms and commitment comes in different forms. And what Manny Machado believes is his commitment to the team is real. That's real. Showing up when your elbow is killing you and posting up and not spending every day going, my elbow hurts. That's a real thing. So many players, the second they feel anything that takes them off of 99% performance, they're going to go to the injured list. They're going to ask for the day or the weekend or 2 weeks or a month or however long off. And Manny Machado doesn't do that. And the Padres will be much better with a healthier Manny Machado trying to play at top percentage in 2024. But there's just so much talk about leadership and malpractice, and he's selfish because he's fighting for stats. And I just think that's unfair. I think that he's showing his commitment to the team in a way that's different than maybe what you might expect would be the standard for showing leadership and commitment to the team. And while I don't agree with the overall arc of what happened this year with Manny Machado, I just don't think it's fair to look at him right now and say playing while he's hurt is selfish. I think that's him showing his commitment to the club.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
I think even if he wanted to get his stats, it's a commitment to the club because he's wearing the uniform and he's winning games for them. So, yeah.
Anything else, boys? I think we've covered it all. I think we've said everything that needs to be said.
Go Padres.
Despite it all, go Padres.
And yet, go Padres.